Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse Frugally. Thanks so much for joining me for 5 winter DIY in the vintage shabby style. I am starting with this sleigh. Someone attempted to paint a Santa Claus on it. Not a fan, so I just took it out and lightly sanded over it with my sander to get basically the bulk of Santa off and some of the red paint. And then I am going in with my Fusion top coat here so that I can seal in the red. I don't want any of the bleeding. And also I want to use a paint inlay. So I am just misting this beautiful IOD paint inlay with rose floral detail that I have in this greens and pinks and burgundy tones, and then misting that, pressing that down, letting that dry completely. I am going to do the same thing on the bottom to another swag in the same color tones. And then once that is completely dry, I'm going to come back in and mist that to reactivate that paint and just blot off any excess so that the paint doesn't run, and then just gently lift that back. And I love this beautiful paint inlay. It is so beautiful, so romantic, so shabby chic, and I love it with this distressed paint look, and it just came out absolutely perfect. So I just took the antiquing wax and went around especially the edges that I had sanded to have that be a little bit more vintage in tone. And I do end up going over the whole thing with that. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to be too dark, and just try to do that gently so it won't smear any of that paint inlay, and then do the sides. And that is all I did to this dump find. So free to me. I love the way this looks, but you will have to let me know what you think of this beautiful sleigh from trash to treasure. And I think I might hang a green ribbon on that. And then my second item today is just a frame. This is actually a plastic frame. I think I got it at the Goodwill bins. And I am just taking the back off and flipping that over. I am going to take some pretty vintage lace, and I am going to just hot glue that all around all 4 edges with the ruffle scalloped edge facing in on this. Now this is really an easy project, and I think just adds a winter touch, especially if you like the shabby chic look. And so I am going to do that to all 4 sides. And then once I have that done, I am going to take out a little bit of green that I had left over on a pick, and I am going to simply add that down under the lace to make it look like a Christmas tree is peeking out of a window with some lace curtains all the way around it. I did have to shorten it just a little bit and reposition it, and then I am going to take the glue gun and glue down the pieces so that I can shape it more into the shape of a Christmas tree. Before I put that all back together, I do want to take my antique gold rub and buff and just go over the entire frame. It sort of had a dirty look to it. Even though I had cleaned it and scrubbed it, it just didn't really look quite as nice as I wanted it to, and I think that rub and buff really does make everything look better. So I am going to then just go ahead and put everything back together, And that is as simple as it is. Now you could hang a green velvet ribbon from the top. You could use it as an ornament. You could hang it on the wall. But I am simply going to prop it up here with a few other items I have in the gold and neutral tones. And I think that it just adds a little pop of winter or a little pop of vintage to this little vignette. So I think that this is spectacular, and it does not look like a plastic frame. I think it looks really awesome. So you'll have to let me know. This, I think, is an easy one to reproduce if you have a small frame kicking around, or even a Dollar Tree one you can paint. And today's playlist is holiday open, and there will be many Christmas and winter items in the playlist in my description box. Plenty of other creators that are joining in, so feel free to go over to that playlist when you're finished here and see what they have for inspiration for you. Now, this next thing I'm doing is simply, you've seen me do this before, take my clothing tags, those that I have cut off from clothing, and I am going to go ahead and take this really sweet ribbon I got at Sam's Club, this huge roll for $7 or $7.99, and it is the cutest little gingerbread house, and there's so much that you could do with this, but I thought it would be sweet to just go ahead and cover the one side with the little gingerbread houses, and then take that antique or vintage lace and put that around, and I used 3 different tags here and did them all a little bit differently just to give you some ideas. Now, obviously, you could use this for Christmas time as an ornament or a gift tag, but I thought that it would be sweet in the winter season to just dress up a small area of my home. I like the gingerbread, the white gingerbread for winter more so than Christmas personally, but you could use it for either. And after I get these pressed down, the second one I'm going to give like a double little skirt at the bottom to make sure those words are good and covered. And then I'm going to add a neutral string at the top in the hole that is already provided. And then on the third one, it has a silver frame on the tag, so I'm going to go ahead and use some flat wired silver ribbon that I have in my stash and sort of embellish that. Gold would have been nice here too, and certainly since I'm covering it, I could have done either. And just to finish that raw edge of the ribbon off, and then I'm going to use the same ribbon as the tie for the top of that. And then I'm going to flip all 3 of these over, and I'm going to go through my sticker book because I do want to finish the back, and I do have a couple of these to from. So I thought I will use this as a decoration this year, and then next year I will use it as a gift tag. So that will just cover up the back, and then here it is in my entryway, just a little pop of gingerbread house, just to use up that trash that would normally go in the garbage. So now I am taking these 2 beautiful lanterns that I got, yes, on the good table at my dump. I used them in my fall decor that you probably already saw, but now I am going to repurpose them for the winter season. Now I am starting with a garland that I had already begun to take apart for other projects. I got this for free on the good table at my dump last year, and it has a lot of glitter on it. Not a huge fan of glitter, so I am just going to go ahead and use the wire base. I am going to wrap that around itself just to make a nice round wreath. I'm going to make 2 since I have 2 of those lanterns, and I had exactly enough of this left over to make 2. And then I went into my stash and found these beautiful red sugared, or yes, glittered berry garland, and I am going to go ahead and wrap half around each. And then I'm simply going to tuck these into the bottom of these beautiful lanterns. They don't open, they don't have any kind of a door, but I can slide them through the top. And so you would have to have something a little bit flexible here, and this works just fine since it's wire. And then once I had that tucked down into each, I have these nice little battery operated candles that I believe I also got for free. I think they were in a box of something, but you can certainly get these on Amazon. And I'm just going to take some modeling clay. If I had any candle cups, I would use them here, but I didn't, and I thought this would be a good alternative because I could stick it with the modeling clay right down in there, press it against the wood, and have this stay, since I am actually going to use these outside. And I am going to wait till Christmas Eve when I have a lot of company coming before I put the batteries in and actually light the candles. But here it is in the daytime, just a little sneak peek of the beginning of my porch decor for Christmas. I have a little bit of greens wrapped around my railings, and I will continue to add as I go. And finally, I had gone to an estate sale, but it was the final day and everything was free. So I went through the house with my daughter and got probably 15 or 20 items. This one baby shoe was one of them. Now, of course, no one else in that place was only going to want one baby shoe, but it was fine by me. So I took some vintage lace and tucked that down around the shoe and put a piece of floral foam in it. And then I had this, whatever this is, snowball looking thing that I had picked up for the January 1st, the new year, at Hobby Lobby after everything was 90% off at one point. So I picked this up for pennies and just popped them off and put them together with the pick at the bottom. Kind of gave it a little bit of a haircut because it was a little long for me, and pressed that in on the top to make a little snowman. Now, I love this cashmere sweater, but unfortunately, somebody, I won't say who, put it through the dryer and shrunk it, and so it doesn't fit, but never throw anything away. So I am going to take the sleeve and go ahead and make a sweet little hat with a little bit of glue and get that together, tie that off, and create a little hat for my snowman. And I had this pretty ribbon in my stash. I cut the wires off and cut that down in half. It would just happen to be in the right color tones and had a little pop of red and white so that it could be either Christmas or winter. Added that on as a scarf. I already had a little lace bow, so I thought I would put that over the top to give that little shoelace a little more presence. And I had a few pieces of greenery sitting in front of me. I thought that it needed just a little bit more, so I snipped around the little hat for a pom-pom, added the greenery around that lace bow, and then I was going to need something for some eyes. I could have gone through my bead stash to see what I had for beads, but I actually decided to just take some straight pins and dip the ends in black paint. Once those dried, I just pushed the pins right in for eyes. And then I painted a toothpick for a nose, little carrot nose, and that is pretty much all I needed except arms, which are just a little bits of lilac bush from my yard. And here he is, absolutely sweet for Christmas or for winter time, adding just a little bit of cheer to this little corner of my home. And I think he's adorable. I would love to know which one was your favorite. I think perhaps the sleigh for me, but actually I had fun with all of them. I do appreciate so much your stopping by. I appreciate your hitting like and subscribe. I appreciate you sharing this with someone you think might enjoy it. That would really help my channel to grow. And I appreciate so much that you spend this time with me. I have so much fun creating what I can out of what I find. And I am very grateful that you come along for the ride. So thanks so much. I will see you soon. Don't forget to check out the playlist of the other creations. Take care.